Yeah, I'm just totally taking this part out. I'm just editing this out.
Hi, it's fun.
Extra 5 minutes.
Oh, come on. This is me and you and the it couple kind of thing, right?
Welcome to the It Couple.
Here you will get to listen to a husband and wife babble
About life situations, enjoyment, and fantasies.
And without further ado, let's start the show.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about tiny homes and looking into it. We were looking to it for ourselves as a solution because we only need but so many things in our day-to-day lives at the home, and it probably could work very well for most people if you just reduce a lot of that and lived in a smaller spot versus a home that's usually 2,000 square foot or more.
You actually have to stop talking in order for me to throw in my 2 cents, you know.
Okay, now leading up to Laura, what do you think about tiny homes? I didn't get to segue into any small portion of that because you cut me off.
I know, but you just kept going and going and going, and you're looking at me as in like, hey, are you going to say something? Like, well, I mean, you gotta stop.
You're reading it. We haven't got to tiny homes, baby. Okay, tiny homes.
Okay, all right. You want me to talk about tiny homes? Let's stay on subject. Anyhow, so we have been looking into the tiny homes, although my reasoning for it is more financial reasons than non-financial reasons. But part of it is too, because I feel like when you have larger amount of space, you fill up that larger space, and I find that I don't need most of that larger space, and instead it takes a lot of time in order to clean all of this area that I don't even use.
And a lot of times you filled up that space with waste.
Yes.
You have extra, some kind of shelf thing that holds something that really doesn't need to be held, or you got, a couple of nice things that's clogging up an area, or you can never find that one thing because you're in such a large space.
So then you buy another thing, and then eventually you find that thing that you were looking for in the first place, and now you have 2 of those or
forget
more.
That thing was especially meant to put that thing like a hammer, so you get a toolbox to put the hammer in, but then the hammer still gets lost somewhere else. And, I can say there's a lot of solutions. Now, my reasons are not as financially savvy as someone else's, but I can't say, I can see the appeal of, using that time away from home and putting more money towards that. That's the key reason for mine being less financial.
Traveling instead of just, staying at home and, paying off debt or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Even if you didn't want to pay off debt.
Now, we are not thinking tiny homes as in the ones on wheels. We are thinking tiny home on foundation, somewhere between 500 to 1,000 square feet, which is small compared to the average size home. But, we, figured out through various walkthroughs and all that. And really our key factor of deciding what size we really wanted was going to IKEA. And they actually have little floor plans with, furniture and everything in place. And we're like, hey, we could do this.
Wait, I feel I need to put an addendum in this in case we somehow got lucky enough to have a crowd that's somewhere in New York or any big city where they have a big home is 500 square foot for them. That's massive. I can put my guitar and a bass player in this room and we could, okay, just to get an idea.
That's why I said the average home size, because the average home size I think is around 2,100 square feet now.
Correct. It's on the money. But
well,
yes.
I recently saw an article about it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Although it has been going down. I think it went down from last year by 5 square feet. Woohoo!
And here's another thing, too. The yard size with that, too.
Oh, yes. You hate mowing grass.
Yes.
Just as much as I hate cleaning the house.
I've been mowing grass since I was a little boy. I'm done with it.
He wants fake grass.
Yeah, or just no grass. Fake grass or no grass. I don't care.
I like fake grass. It's pretty and it feels good on your feet.
I don't care because if I see, I just don't want work outside of work. You go to work and you have more work. Anyway, the tiny home may not exactly cure that problem of the cutting the grass part, but if you wanted to change it, you say you want to go with fake grass or no grass as adding rocks. That's a lot easier in your pocket to fix that problem. You got you can specialize a smaller square footage of land coverage just to do that. Or if you want to have the greens and crazy trees and stuff like that, well, if you only concentrate on a smaller spot, one palm tree can make a huge difference on a home that's only maybe less than 500 square foot than one that's on 2100 square foot home. It really does do a better job balancing. Those 5 potted plants will really show a lot more than that on your standard size home. So for less, you get a little bit more, and you can change it up anytime you want to. Paint your house, that costs less. I mean, a lot of things that just want to look at aesthetics cost less. And I'm just going to end it off right there to segue. What do you think about outside aesthetics on your end?
All. Yours was very.
Yeah, I'm just totally taking this part out. I'm just editing this out.
Hey, it's fun.
Extra 5 minutes.
Oh, come on! This is me and you and the it couple kind of thing, right? Which we're not even talking about IT.
You know what? We can still segue it back to IT.
Well,
because
I was going to say with the tiny homes thingy, though, that the one of the great aspects of it too is you have a lot less to cool down. I mean, that's like IT related, or a smart home. You can make it more smart home. I mean, a lot of people talk about how tiny homes are actually more expensive and things like that, but that's because you can afford to put the best of the best materials in there instead of being a little bit more like, oh, let me get the cheapest carpet to put into this big house.
Well, yeah, that's actually a really good argument because, like, okay, you get yourself a TV for your house. You got to get a couple TVs for this room, or maybe that's not the way we all think now, because I think us millennials have learned to save money than our older predecessors. I think so, yes.
I think saying older would probably be a bad idea.
They're older. And they
Just
know it,
old.
and they own it. Please, they don't want to be a millennial. Then if you either have it one way or the other, you don't want to be a millennial or you're older. It's just how that works out. But on that note, I remember in my household when I grew up, there was a TV in every room, and for a lot of other people, they had like a TV in every room. There's a one for the kids get little small TVs. Adult gets a bigger one, or the biggest one in the bedroom. There's one in the living room and stuff like that, and that was a thing.
Well, it wasn't until I got older that we did that. I mean, we had our one big one in the living room, and then my parents had a little one that was a black and white, antenna, itty bitty little thing that they had. I don't even know what they watched on it. The only memory I have of ever seeing it in
Andy
use
Griffith Show
was it had Gone with the Wind, black and white Gone with the Wind. And like, that was the only time I ever saw the thing in use. And then later on in my life, when I started homeschooling, I got a TV in my room so I could watch the VHS tapes of my homeschooling stuff that I watched. So, yeah. I
remember being in Germany, and I got the TV that my mom and dad had at the time. It was... I'm not sure. I think it was a high quality TV at the time because it had a VCR built in at the bottom of it, so you could just
that's what mine had.
Yeah, and it was like some kind of I think it was like a Zenith. It started with a Z.
It was black, and I don't know. The screen was maybe like 11 inches.
but that was the big size then. I mean, 32 inch. That's like, ooh, that's the living room.
The bottom half of it was about as big as the top half with the screen.
I remember moving those suckers. But anyway, I feel like I'm going off topic here. But to wrap it around, TVs in every room. Wouldn't it be better to live in a small house instead of having multiple everything TV? You just wrap the price all together. And you put that into the one TV, and you get the best creme de la creme you want to, whatever. Maybe you can get one of the few.
Well, I think the nice thing about with any kind of home, really, you can make it what you want to make it, and that's what we like about the tiny homes. There are certain features that we like and have learned that we, do and don't like that, if we just bought a home that's already in existence, we have a hard time figuring out how to make layouts. I mean, like the home we currently live in, I can't even count how many times we've moved things around. This room was for that, and that room is for this.
And this is actually a rather big. It's a decent spot for us. A really big spot for us. And
it's like what, 1,400 square feet, air conditioned.
Yes, and minus
3 bedroom, 2 bath, but it's an old home. I mean, and they had add-on features. So, there are some weird layouts when it comes to it, and certain things that work and certain things that don't work. And we rent it, by the way. And, and it's great. It's a nice place to live for the time being. Probably one of our biggest places we've ever lived in. As a couple, but it still is like we've just kind of learned that it's too much space for us. So we have a lot of stuff in here that does not make us happy. In fact, it probably makes me more stressed than anything else.
Oh, the outside. That's definitely like number one.
Well, yeah, it's a very big yard.
Yeah. I think like part of like the going towards the tiny home thing, there is one thing that'll be super appealing. Once our daughter has gone, we will drop down the square footage even more, and it'll be nice for just this one reason. We have the scariest of neighbors. Well, maybe not scarier than what you have for neighbors, but we have some pretty scary neighbors. They are very much contrast to how we are, and it would be nice as to go, you know what, we're done being here, and we just get into our car and pick up our house and literally move the heck on and to find another spot of land.
I think like we want that aspect of when we were in the military where, we could actually like walk outside of our place that we're living in, and there were a bunch of people that we could just communicate with, and it was like, this nice little community of people.
Yeah.
So far in our civilian life, we have not really been able to find that. It's just, I don't know. We've had like lots of crazy neighbors.
Yeah, it's actually, I found out where the boom came from. It was the speakers.
Oh.
So now I just press the button, turn them off. So anyway, boom's gone. But it's a community. I think there's like, many things many times I repeat over and over and over again.
I think you've gotten softer now. You're not as loud.
Yeah, it could have been from that. Yeah. Oh, well, I'll find out later, or you do some settings. But
there's that one podcast setting where you get louder.
It'll clean it up. I'm not worried. But going back, when we were in back in the military, we had that community. We were in this weird kind of bubble area with a bunch of other people that were there too. We had some friends there. It was a small area, but you got your friends. It was a community. What I like to do is something closer to that on the civilian side. What I have seen so far from these communities that they actually have is anything but that. In fact, if anything,
like we currently have someone we know lives in an HOA, and it's just, we've known a lot of people who lived in the HOA kind of communities, and they are not easy to deal with. And it's like, why do you have to be like that? Like, why can't we just, I guess as a whole of society, just be okay with each other without like nitpicking and, like our neighbor.
Lived in one area. One thing I complain is, I go out and I take Anya, and this is the time when I was smoking.
Anya's our dog, by the way.
Yes. I just don't walk a person outside. I mean, it's not some strange, BDSM is collecting people and whipping them down the street. Oh, no. But going outside and then and then as a smoker, who someone just goes outside because I don't want to smoke in the house. What sometimes killed me is just like, where's the bench? Like, it sounds crazy, but and then a lot of trash cans got removed too. And that made me think, oh, they're keeping it clean and neat and tidy. And well, that's fine. But in the same way, they're forgetting the social aspect of being in a community, knowing thy neighbor and all that fun stuff. That's a powerful thing. That's what makes people stay in certain areas more than others. You want to know why this place rotates a lot, or why you have a lot of people who will move in and move out as soon as the next 2 year lease is up? They probably didn't make a connection to anybody else around them.
Yeah, like what's the deal with the tennis courts? I mean, every time we've gone to an apartment community or any kind of community, they always have a tennis court, and I have never, ever seen it get used, ever. In fact, I see kids like running around on there, and some of them will play basketball on there, but never tennis.
I've seen like a couple old people like try to, and then I mean like older. This older people in general just try to go in there and like, okay, they play a little bit, but usually they're exhausted. I mean, here's what I know about tennis. It's a lot of work. And if you see like the people in the gyms and stuff like that, they're really fit. Well, I expect them to play tennis because it's a very, you're going back and, jumping.
It's not even about actually being fit. It is about being fit, but like, it's not about weightlifting. It's about cardio. I mean, it's a HIIT exercise, a high intensity training, or I don't know what HIIT stands for, but I know that it's about, your heart rate spikes and then it goes down. It spikes, it goes down and kind of thing. And tennis is definitely like that. I mean, I think I did like 1 year or one summer of tennis. And I mean, it was definitely a lot. And that was when I was younger.
And and after a long day of work, and granted, this is the working class, if we're talking here in classes. After a long day of work, I'm going to grab a racket and go do that. And like, no, I'm going to be like every other American and go hit weights instead for 15 minutes. It just doesn't seem to fit a market unless you're a diehard, which if you're a diehard person who likes tennis, would you just go to some bigger place with a like-minded peer group to go play with? Because, I mean, it's just in the wrong area. Throw a basketball goal there or a field where people can play football. But tennis, it just seems they're really out of the market for it. It just...
Well, I mean, I feel like instead of that, put a walking track around or a dog park. I mean, most of the people that come into these apartment communities have dogs. So why aren't there always dog parks? Very, very rarely do you find a dog park in a community. Yet most of the people that live there have dogs. I mean, like a good percentage of them.
And then with the dogs
kids,
comes
put
the
a playground. I mean, the one we went to had one playground in it, but it was really bad playground. I mean, really bad. It was right where the sprinklers hit. So, like, when the sprinklers turned on, then it would get, like, all sorts of soaked, and it got, like, rusted because of it. It just was not a safe, really, place. There was a bench there, though.
Yes, there was a bench there, the one most unattractive place you want to be.
Well, you can't really smoke there because, again, it's playground with kids and stuff like that. So.
Exactly. And it's as much as time you want to be social, you bring your kid and your strangers, and, like, it just didn't work there. It's like, they didn't plan the social aspect of it. Oh, before we wrap up, how about this? Just want to kind of end on this. So, what would be, inside and out, the perfect tiny home that you can think of right now that you would want? Just describe it in a couple of paragraphs. Go, babe.
Okay, the perfect tiny home. You are asking the non-visual part of me to then
use
visualize
your imagination. Yes,
this tiny home. I mean, I have no idea.
What would it not have? You can work on the reverse side of it.
I don't know. I mean, I would like everything that I need under roof without it being over. Like a lot of the places we've lived in have had the laundry room outside or in the garage or something. I want my laundry room inside. And I'm okay with the stackable laundry ones because I feel like that's the easiest way to, take it from the bottom one washer to the top dryer. And I'm good with that. I'm simple, easy, minimum effort. That's me. I don't want anything that's like too much space or too hard to clean. I would love a place with the little vents that you can sweep dust into, and there we go. I don't even need a dustpan anymore.
So you want a small, tiny home to simplify
my
your
life. Yes, that would be so nice. Because I feel like simplifying my life would equate to less stress. And of course, if we lessen the financial burden we currently carry, then it would also lessen that part of my stress. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not necessarily about the perfect formula or, having this or that or whatever in there. It's just about having things that simplify it. So, I don't need a big. I would love a kitchen with then like an island per se, but I would like that island to also kind of be our dining room table, or then I no longer need a dining room table. I would like our bedroom to also be a Murphy bed that lifts up and, maybe is a desk or something like that. So I could have it as a desk when I'm not sleeping, just things like that, things that I feel like would make it a little easier. I never make my bed anyhow. I haven't done that since I left home. Well, actually, no, I haven't done that since I left the military, where they made me make my bed every now and again for inspections. But I don't feel like that's important to me. Like, I do want my home to be clean so that it's not like dangerous, but I don't want to spend my entire day cleaning, because I want to spend time with my daughter. And, when my husband gets home and, after we eat dinner, I want to be able to actually have time to spend with him. That's my goals, I guess. I didn't explain any kind of home right there, but,
I think you did a good job of explaining it. And I think that anybody else who's listening, if we have anybody listening, they're probably listening after this is a year or so old, and hopefully we're doing really well at the time. But I think you'll have a lot of like-minded people that can definitely understand all of that together.
Whether that's what you want or what you don't want, I think that's the appeal of the tiny house movement, is that it's about finding what works for you. Even the minimalist movement, it's about finding what works for you as a person. And if that's not what you want, that's fine. If you want a really big house and all that fun stuff, good for you. I all for that. If I would not mind a big house if I had enough money for people to clean that house for me. But really, my thing is I'm very centered on the here and now. And here and now, I do not have the money for a cleaning person to come in and clean my house. So therefore, I have to find another way in order to make it easier for me to clean my house. And the tiny home would definitely help in that regard.
Oh, okay.
So how about you, honey?
Well, I feel like I gotta make mine really short. Okay, so here's
There's probably quite a few minutes in this time that is going to get cut out anyhow.
Okay, here's what I want. I want you to have the exact house that you want, with me to have my office outside of that house.
Okay,
and
so
my
you
office,
can have your music as loud as you want.
Yes, and it can be as complex and as stressful as it wants to be with all my stuff. Big, giant, cool monitors, custom built computer, water.
Well, you want a smart home too, one with all the high tech gear and security camera and whatever, which is, a nice feature too.
It'll be my own personal space, and it wouldn't be a man cave, because I don't think I
meant the tiny home.
Oh, the tiny home, yes. So it's just, we'll be, if we hitting the road, we'll be hitting there with, you driving the actual house, and I'll have a smaller one that'll be actually my.
Well, that would be after our daughter's gone.
Yes. But I'll have mine ready to go before then. So, but yes, that's what I want. I want you to have exactly what you want. So yeah, way you're less stressed, and plus we kind of live together. It will probably work best that way.
Well, that's great and all that, but I'm really bad at making decisions. So you would actually have to come up with some ideas.
Okay. I think I had the idea.
Plus, I'm not a visual person. You're a visual person.
Well, yeah, I'm a visual person. That's how that works. Anywho, enough about us. I think we've kind of wrapped up about a few things about the tiny home industry that we kind of bounced away from here and there.
Really? I think we babbled.
Yes, we did.
But that's what we do.
Yes. I
We are the It Couple. We babble.
There you go. That's the ending statement we're going with. We are the It Couple. Goodbye, folks.